Good morning, everyone. This is David from Hong Kong, and today I would like to show you the KAWA model and its relationship with elderly in Hong Kong. Here's my brief content of today's presentation. And before I talk about the KAWA model, I would like to share with you how I find KAWA model, and it should be starting from the Facebook where I meet others OTs in the world talking about this model. Since my training as an OT about a decade ago, the frame of reference in OT that I learned is about the following ones: the PEO models and the CMOP models, the MOHO, and also there is an approach called the body, mind, spirit approach. Hence, when did I discover the KAWA models as another model of practice? As I mentioned 2 slides before, I started discovering it in the Facebook, and then with the support of various professors and also the OTs in the virtual world, I also get a simplified guide to apply the KAWA model to OT practice. And since it happens in February 2014, I try to explore more on this model and explore if this model can be applied in Hong Kong context. And some experience that I learned in this virtual presentation is that the WFOT Congress and also this symposium is a catalyst for me in learning this approach, and also I learned how to exchange my ideas with international fellows. And I also believe that a co-sharing and also co-create of knowledge can provide some positive impact for the application of KAWA model in the Asia-Pacific region, especially in Hong Kong and also in the Greater China region. And as Steve Jobs said before, I think in gaining some knowledge, I think we should hold a mind in staying hungry and also stay foolish. Let's come back to how KAWA model can apply to elderly people in Hong Kong. Because I do not find any OTs in Hong Kong using this model in their daily practice, the below approach is just my proposed idea, which I hope to implement in my future practice and promote to others OT in Hong Kong. First, I would like to talk about some of the characteristics of elderly people in Hong Kong. As the majority of elderly people in Hong Kong are Chinese, in terms of their body function, I observe that they have good endurance in terms of daily living and also their work aspects. As you can see from the photos, the elderly are still very hardworking in maintaining their daily livings, but it may also be a sad story to see that the elderly are finding some valuable items in the rubbish bin. And I also see that from their daily livings, the elderly in Hong Kong is a kind of person who do not voice out their sickness easily, and they tend to find their own ways to maintain their body health. Apart from the scenario shown in the photos, most of the elderly in Hong Kong are still engaging in some work-related duties, no matter if it is paid or unpaid. And concerning with the mind aspect, elderly in Hong Kong has a high level of resilience. and at the same time, they have relative good support from their siblings. Concerning with the spiritual approach, the elderly tend to have a negative feeling about their future life because of the economical status and also their body condition. And from research study, Hong Kong is one of the places in the world that have the highest suicidal rate. And it is estimated that about 17% of elderly has committed suicide. Then I will try to use the KAWA model to explain how the elderly in Hong Kong are facing in their daily lives. From my clinical experience, elderly tends to express a lot of their life's history in the past, and they talk little about the present and the future moment. For example, they always like to express how their lives are like to be when they are young and when they are working, get married, or raising their children. And concerning with their future lives, that is about the sea, they may not be willing to share or discuss about it because of the cultural issue. For example, if I ask about how they are going to plan their funeral, they are more reluctant to talk about it. And as the education level of the elderly in Hong Kong is relatively low when compared with the foreigners, I think that in the implementation, queuing cards or pictures of the river model should be prepared so that the elderly can understand more. Concerning with the rocks, which means the barrier that's affecting their lives, the elderly tends to express about the physical aspect more. For example, the joint pain, the deficits in their visual aspect and other sensory deficits, and the lack of community access, which makes them tend to stay at home rather than going out to the community for their social life. And also, they may also express the psychological barriers that affecting their daily lives. For example, the loss of spouse or the lack of support. And next, I will come to the river walls and the floors. Although I mentioned that elderly express they do not have enough supportive network in their daily lives, but indeed, because of the siblings has to go to work in daytime, there are other kinds of supportive network that provide support to the elderly, including some NGO service, for example, the Meals on Wheels service, escort service, or rehab exercise service. And also, the Hong Kong Housing Authority and the Hong Kong Housing Society, together with some property developers, provide specialized housing for the elderly to provide a good place for the elderly to age in place. And Hong Kong has done quite a lot of work in promoting elderly to involve in the community activities. And it is known that Hong Kong will be nominated as an age-friendly city in this or next year. And Hong Kong is a highly civilized city, meaning that people are living in housing estates, which also means there is good neighborhood support. And for the driftwood aspect, support from the government are adequate, including financial, social, or providing medical service. And the elderly in Hong Kong is one of the places in the world that has the longevity. And the awareness of citizens towards the elderly rights are increasing in recent years. Also, the filial piety of Chinese people is another asset in Hong Kong to the elderly. And as I mentioned before, the resilience level of Chinese people are rather high when compared with other places in the world. And I think that the KAWA model can facilitate the OT daily practice in the following scenario. Because in the daily practice, there are many kinds of assessment tools that are being used to see the functional levels of the elderly. But how the time should be allocated if an elderly has a specific condition, for example, dementia or stroke. And taking dementia as an example, by using the KAWA model as an interview process of the elderly, we can understand more on the needs of the elderly before conducting further assessment. And this means that resources can be better allocated and a more clear profile of the elderly can be identified. Concerning with the future possibilities, I would suggest that the KAWA model can be applied to the elderly population as well as the Chinese population. And also, the effectiveness of the KAWA model can be used to enhance the service efficiency and the service impact. And since there is little mentioned about how to use the KAWA model in Hong Kong or Chinese context, collaboration with academic institute or worldwide network can enhance the utilization of the KAWA model. And this is the end of my sharing, and I hope that you will enjoy it. And you can see the background. It is actually a place in Hong Kong, and I here share a web link so that you can know where exactly in Hong Kong. Thank you very much.